All right, guys. So we're back, right? Same topology, right? We got everything working yesterday, right? So, what we're gonna go over now, right? This is another Lab Fun Day, is some best practices and some diagnostic tools, right? To go ahead and troubleshoot, routing, the routing monitor, going over some routing attributes, ECMP, RPF, right? And just routing in general on the FortiGate, right? Um, the first thing I'm going to talk about is a link health monitor, right? We spoke about that before, and of course, you guys know it's a mechanism for detecting when a router along the path is down. Okay, so let's go ahead, right? Let's go into HQ1, right? That's right here. All right, and let's check our static routes, right? We need to go ahead and take a look of how it looks like, right? Let's go ahead and take a look at um, our routes. Okay. Okay. So we see, right? You go ahead and see that we have routes to the 172.16.1 and the 172.16.2, right? And we're using ECMP. It's going over multiple paths, right? When, and this is just a review, right? When is ECMP triggered? When we have the same values that match across the board, right? For a route. So distance, right? Administrative distance, the metric, right? The priority, um, right? And all those things, and two other attributes that I can't think of right now. But as long as all of those match, we can perform equal cost multi-path routing, right? Where traffic is going to be load balanced across these paths, right? But, right, what if we are doing ECMP, and what happens, right, if we have a link that just goes down, right? So let's go ahead and do this, right? We have everything in place. Let's open up PC5, right? Let's begin page, right, to a destination, PC6, right? Right? All right, so pings are going, okay? Let's go ahead and let's do a packet capture, and let's go ahead and see, right, where that traffic is passing. Okay, let's go ahead and identify which link is chosen. Okay, all right, let's go ahead and open up another packet capture for another link, right? Of course, we have three WAN links, right? And of course, equal cost multi-path routing, right? It's going to load balance that traffic between three links, right? Using source and IP by default. Okay, all right. Let's go ahead. Let's do a third packet capture, port 4. Right. So again, we're capturing traffic that it's leaving HQ. It's leaving HQ1. All right. Right. So you see that traffic passing, and it is good to go. But what happens if this happens? Right. So out of nowhere, our link for port 2 goes down. Okay. What happened? Right.
It's still passing.
It's still passing, but what port is it going out of now? Right? Now it's going out of port 4. Right? But it 100% took a while to go ahead and transfer over. Right? Right? Bless you.
Thank you.
Right? And so how can we go ahead and make sure failover is happening properly? Right? Because of course it went over to port 4 from port 2, but we have different links, right? We have different links that are in place, right? The next one should be port 3, right? That's in order to go ahead and transfer over. So how can we go ahead and fix that, right? What can we do? We can go ahead and configure a route monitor, a link health monitor, right? So let's go ahead and stop this. All right, we'll go ahead and stop this. We'll enable this for now, right? And let's go ahead and configure that link monitor, right? We'll go ahead and configure the system link monitor, right? And I'm going to call this, right? Backup link. Backup link. Okay. All right. So first thing first, you need to go ahead and set the source interface, right? Okay. So that source interface is going to be port 2, right? Because that's the one that we want to go ahead and track. All right. Okay. Now serving, right? What is that? That is the ISP. That is the typically, right? If we're using a WAN, right? That is something we would set as the ISP gateway, right? Our next hop to reach the outlet, right? And it's just recommended, right? The server can be anything. You can set the server to be Google. You can set the server to be Microsoft, right? Has our measuring point to see this. Hey, if this IP address, if this interface on the FortiGate cannot reach this address, then fail over. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and set this, right, for our lab. We're going to set it to be the inside interface of the local area network, right? We're going to set it as that. Okay, so let's go ahead and set this as, let's go ahead and set that as set server, all right? And we're going to do 172.16.1. We're going to do 1.1. There we go, right? And then we need to go ahead and set the gateway, right? The next hop, right? Then we're going to go ahead and track. So we're going to do 172.16. I'm sorry. That is going to be for port 2, 4.4.2.2. Okay. So, and that's the next hop from HQ1 to HQ2. So 4.4.2.2. Okay. All right. And right, the next thing that we have to do is set the protocol that's going to be used to test reachability, right? We can use ping, we can use TCP echo, right? We can use UDP echo, we can use HTTP, right? We can use TWAN, right? All of these protocols are available, right? Because again, some ISPs, they typically disable pings from a security perspective. They disable pings on their devices. So that's why they allow different protocols to be used in a sense of something like this. So for now, right, we'll go ahead and set it to ping, right? And last but not least, right, we need to set up a behavior, right? We need to set up for it to do something, right? And so this command update stack route, what does it mean? Well, it means, right, if if something happens to the link, right, and it's, for example, if WAN2 cannot reach the quote unquote the server, right, the one that's being used to test reachability to make sure that that link is working, fail over to the next link, right, and update the routing table as far as removing the static route that we have, right, on WAN2 to reach that server. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. So go ahead and set that up. And next, you hit end, and that's configured. Okay.
So is it okay to think of the link monitor like the if-then statement for the interface? Like, or no?
100%.
Okay.
Yeah. 100%. That's a good way to think about it. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So let's go ahead and test this, right? So our server is, of course, 192.168.1, right? And so we see traffic still rolling, even though I'm not pinging nothing. So this is probably a bug, right? Let's go ahead and let's disable the LAN interface. Oh, not on here. This is the wrong one. And let's enable that. We actually need to go to HQ2 and do that. Okay. So let's go ahead and disable that. Okay. And I'll go ahead and disable these packet captures for now. And let's redo these packet captures. All right. Let's go ahead and capture here as well. Let's check the other. All right. Okay. Give a second to pop up. That one. Uh-oh. There we go. All right. Capture. All right. All right. And there we go. All right. So we got these captures going. Excellent. And we got two. There we go. Let's take a look at that. Now, we'll use the packet capture in this one. Let's do this. Let's go ahead and capture it here. And let's do here. And let's do running this right. Right. So what are we seeing, right? We're seeing packets, right? We're seeing packets traverse, right? Let's go ahead and take a look and see what that looks like. Okay. So this should go ahead and pull up Wireshark. Right? And this is our link health monitor that we configured, right? It's pinging 172.16.1.1, right? It's still going, it's still processing packets, right? Even though we have this, disabled or what have you, right? So if we go back, let me go ahead and download that. Right? We don't see, do we see a reply back to this ICMP?
No, just the request.
Exactly. Right? So what's supposed to happen, right? And of course, it may be buggy. If I go ahead and try to reach out, it should automatically fail over, right? And of course, we may have, it may be a bug or what have you. We can go ahead and restart the firewall. Let's go ahead and do that. There we go. So restart the firewall, right? That would pause it, but you guys can be able to see in real time, right? Oh, we see little packets going through port 4. But let's give it a second, wait for it. But with what we have configured on link monitoring, right, is once it realizes I cannot reach that server that we configured to probe, right? What my FortiGate is supposed to do is going to say, all right, cool. The route that I'm using, I'm going to go ahead and fail over to the other path, okay, and go ahead and get that installed in, right? Okay, but in this scenario, we're using ECMP, right? Which of course would be a scenario that a lot of people would have nowadays, which is of course 2 ISPs, right? Dual ISP scenario, right? And we have that set up, right? It'll go ahead and load balance automatically, right? It's good in a sense to where it'll automatically load balance that traffic, right? But what happens during failover, right? We're going to get an interruption of traffic, right? We're going to get an interruption of data passing, through that firewall, right? This is why, of course, ECMP is good. But best practice from a network design standpoint is where SD-WAN will come in, right? You can configure SD-WAN from a software standpoint would automatically go ahead and transfer that over. It'll use a primary link depending on the strategy that you configure. It'll automatically go ahead and transfer over. It'll monitor the link itself. And when that does happen, bang, you're good to go, right? You don't have to worry about manually setting up a link monitor or what have you. Okay. Let's see if it loaded back up. All right, so it loaded back up. And let's see if we can, we're not seeing pings now. So the lab is probably being buggy, right? But that's how you set up link monitor, right? That's one of the best practices that it shares with you. Okay, so we'll stop right here. Tomorrow, I want to still go over best practices, but I want to go ahead and go over route summarization. Okay, so read up on that a little bit, and we'll talk about it more tomorrow.
Alrighty.
All right, guys.
Hey, thanks, guys. Take care. Bye.
Bye.